Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the Basketball Bulletin. The trade deadline just over a week away, and wow, have things heated up in a big way this morning. So we thought we'd jump on here live, take some of your questions and comments, sort through all of it. So much going on right now. If you're here for the first time, you haven't been here before, hit that subscribe button on the Basketball Bulletin YouTube channel. We sure do appreciate it. Donnie, I love days like today is one of those days where you feel like you look away for a moment and like five more pieces of news break. I love this league. This is an awesome morning.
Yeah, I know. It's really cool. This is what we've been waiting for. We've been waiting to see how things play out as we get closer and closer to the deadline. We expected more, and this is just the tip of the iceberg, I'd imagine. So it should be pretty fun from here.
Yeah, especially with the big news that came out this morning. Shams Charania saying Giannis Antetokounmpo is ready for a new home at the February 5th trade deadline or in the offseason as rival teams make aggressive offers to the Bucks. Donnie, I love the wording on this. I love that he did not request a trade because remember Giannis said he would never do that. He is ready for a new home. I love it. That it's the wording is everything in this. It was very well done there.
Yeah, that's definitely intentional too. Like, I don't know that it really matters much to the general public. It's like, okay, Giannis wants to be traded regardless. Like, to me, it doesn't matter much, but that's certainly intentional. I did think it was interesting that it's, by the deadline or in the offseason. So there may not be as much urgency there as well.
Well, so there was the bit from Shams did note that the Bucks, they want a blue chip prospect plus draft capital if they're going to move on from Giannis. And if they don't get that, they're more than happy to wait until the offseason, which is the playbook for every team that ever tried to trade away a player. It's to make it clear to everybody that you don't feel like you have to trade, because anytime it's out there that you have to trade the player, it's hard to get value. Just look at Mike Dunleavy and what he's had to say about Jonathan Kuminga, right? When everybody feels like you have to trade a player, it's very difficult to get decent value in a trade. So I think that's part of that. I think that now that this news is out, the cat's out of the bag, I think more likely than not now, Giannis gets moved by the trade deadline.
Yeah, it's been rocky, to say the least, from Milwaukee as a team and the noise around them. A few weeks ago, Giannis had to, talk to them and stuff like that about trying to quiet the noise, ignoring the outside stuff. And we still wound up here anyway. So to me, I feel like we've been here since the summer, and this is way overdue. Frankly, like it was heavily reported in the summer that if the Knicks were able to pull off a trade, he probably would have been traded then. So ultimately, though, I think this is the right decision for all parties involved, and hopefully this does get resolved sooner than later. There was that bit that we talked about yesterday from Gary Wolfel that, he does want to get extended sooner than later because you have to wait post-trade. So that may be a factor as well. And we'll see what happens with that. But I wanted to just touch on this really quick. YYC says two things. It's time for a super team in OKC, and does Giannis have a trade? Firstly, I don't think OKC, I think, could pull this trade off, and it'd be pretty easy too. But I don't know if they're going to give up a blue chip guy, but they can absolutely just flood them with picks and matching salary. But I don't think they do that. And for Giannis having a choice in this trade, two things. They're going to most likely, because this is how typically organizations handle it, most likely take his input and try to get him where he wants to go. Especially for a guy like him that brought a chip, was there for a long time, means a lot to the city, great relationship with the ownership, all that stuff. But he also has the player option. So that's where the trade stuff is interesting. If you trade for him now, you get this half season plus the full season of Giannis. But otherwise, if he doesn't want to go to your team, now we're in the offseason, he could say, hey, I'm just going to decline that player option and I won't stay here. And it's just the Kawhi situation there. So really, both sides have a lot of control and leverage, but I wouldn't underestimate Giannis's portion of it.
And this is where it makes more sense for the Bucks to do this now if they get a good offer, because Giannis's control over the situation will only increase in the summer or the deeper into next season that you wait to actually trade him. Giannis would also like to be traded now so that he can sign an extension with his new club next season. That would be an important factor too. But if you're the Bucks, you get into the summer, Giannis can tell anybody, any team he doesn't want to go to, he can scare them away by saying, cool, you can trade for me. I'll play for you for a year, then I'm gone. So you're trading for a year of Giannis and not the next 4 or 5 years or whatever.
Absolutely.
So that's the That's the challenge, I think, for teams. And Giannis can still say that now, but there'd be teams willing to say, we'll roll the dice on a season and a half of Giannis and let's go.
And that whole offseason to get him integrated and just, show him you love him, all that stuff matters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there would be teams willing to roll the dice on that. Did Dalton actually formally request a trade? There's like 5 comments in here about that.
So Anthony Irwin commented on it. There have been a couple of stories right now that that are out today. Brad Turner mentioned it. I think Jake Fisher may have mentioned it as well. It's all jumbled at this point, but that the Lakers would look to move on from Dalton Knecht. Brad Turner mentioned that Dalton Knecht, the Lakers would help facilitate something by attaching a second round pick.
Gotcha.
My read of that is it would mean you're essentially salary dumping him. You're attaching just like with Jalen Hood-Schifino, you're attaching a pick to him to get him off your roster, which would be absolutely brutal to have 2 first round picks in a row require that you attach additional draft capital. Not only do you burn a first on them, but require additional draft capital to get them off your roster. And it would tell you that it was absolutely the wrong decision to pick up the team option for $4.2 million for next year. I thought it was a very defensible decision at the time, but it has not worked out. We talked about it last night. Dalton needs to get to a new team. He needs a fresh start somewhere. My hope is that it just doesn't cost the Lakers. My hope is that some team will say, this dude dropped 37 points in a game last year. He had multiple 20-point games. We'll take him and just see if we can make something out of him and the Lakers can move him and not have to give up something.
He had a 30-point game in the preseason too, right? Something like that. I feel like he's had more than one 30-point game in a Laker uniform. But you know where a destination he could go is that's got a lot of shots open all of a sudden.
Where?
Milwaukee.
If Milwaukee moves Giannis, yeah, why not roll the dice on a guy like?
No. I was trying to speak it into existence.
Well, you're trying to get him to Milwaukee for Giannis in a Giannis trade. Oh man.
No. Bucks fans, don't get all upset. I'm just trolling.
I think
he's not the blue chip guy they're requesting.
I've said it a bunch that if you wanted Giannis on the Lakers, you need to hope he survives the trade deadline as a Milwaukee Buck, and then maybe you can get into, and you probably still wouldn't even get into the conversation, but you're at least closer to getting into the conversation with 3 first-round picks this summer as opposed to right now. Brad Turner even confirmed that, said, look, you're not getting Giannis at the trade deadline if you're the Lakers.
Yeah, you need the offseason one, and you need a request to go to the Lakers.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not going to happen. So
no.
I'm not worried about that so much. But, yeah, I just wanted to throw that there because I saw people were talking about that. But more on Dalton in our video from last night. So make sure you do check that out.
Absolutely. Okay. A bunch of other things that we need to get into. Jake Fisher had a lot of stuff today, too. There have been all kinds of different trade pieces going around out there. Frankly, I've barely been able to keep up with all of it. But here's something interesting. We talk about Jonathan Kuminga. We talk about the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat are now going to drop everything and focus on Giannis. But the Warriors and Heat have engaged in discussions on a potential Jonathan Kuminga for Andrew Wiggins swap. Could this get tied into a Giannis trade? Maybe. Believe that Miami, if parting with Wiggins, would prefer to use his salary as part of a deal that brings a star caliber player back to South Beach, and Miami would like to get a first round pick in any kind of a deal that sends out Andrew Wiggins. I don't know and Milwaukee has long coveted Wiggins, though. If Giannis isn't there, does Milwaukee still want Wiggins?
Yeah,
I don't know about that, but Jonathan Kuminga for Andrew Wiggins, this is not the first time we're hearing this. There have been reports that there's actually a framework of a potential deal there. Let's keep an eye on this. Andrew Wiggins could go back to Golden State, and he end up, ironically, being the piece that the Warriors get for Jonathan Kuminga.
Yeah, that's a familiar face. He's on a deal that they also, I believe they're the ones that put him on that deal. They're comfortable with that. And if he picks up the next year option on that, which he most likely would, you have Jimmy. Jimmy comes back midseason. You've all of a sudden got a better fitting team with Wiggins because Jonathan is literally a nothing on this team. So really anything you could get for Jonathan in terms of the immediate timeline is a benefit because he's not being used appropriately. But I think that you would have also maybe tried to ideally with Jonathan get back a player that's a younger player. That's why there was so much linking to like Trey Murphy as well, because Wiggins is already like 30 at this point, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I do think that, like, if you're Golden State and you're looking at this big picture, If you turn Jonathan Kuminga into Andrew Wiggins, but you lost Jimmy Butler, are you closer to a championship than you were 2 weeks ago?
Not this season.
No, not this season.
But
No,
without
it would have to
Jimmy,
be for next season.
yeah, without Jimmy though, they're just not going to have the ceiling, right? Regardless, unless they're able to trade Jimmy and get back another max player, they're not going to have this season's a wash regardless.
Do you think the Warriors are going to miss the playoffs? Like, I mean, not get out of the play-in.
Not get out of no, I think they'll make the playoffs. But I will say it's gonna be tight. And teams like the Clippers have been look at the Clippers last 10 games, 9-1. Like these teams are serious now.
The hottest team in the NBA.
By the way, I've got to say it. I know we have a lot of Laker fans, but I will just say props to them because they're attempting to do something that's never really been done before.
They are crushing it
starting 2-12 and making it to the playoffs. I don't know has ever been done before, certainly for a Western team. So they're attempting. Like I laughed at them. I did a video where they were like, "Oh, they basically were saying like a month ago, if we get on a run, then we'll be fine. Basically, we just want to get on a run, win most of our games from here." I was like, "Dude, this is like unprecedented." And they're at nearly 500 again. So from there, everything's even. It's a new season, right? So
they were going to have to go like 35-13 or something like that.
Something
crazy.
Right? Yes. But they should have never been 2-12 in the first place with the talent they have.
No.
Anyway, so on Golden State, I think there's going to be pressure, was my point. Phoenix, Minnesota, these teams keep playing the way they're playing or perform better. Obviously, the Lakers. There could be a lot of shuffling here because there's so many close records, but there will be pressure for Golden State.
Yeah, this is I could see a scenario where Golden State doesn't make it out of the play, and especially if they drop further. If they drop to the 9-10 matchup, that's you got to win 2 games in a row in order to survive. And I could see they could lose to the Clippers, they could lose to the Blazers, the Wolves, any of those teams. If the Suns drop into that, whoever drops into that, they could certainly lose in the play-in. And I do think, let's say they make it and they're the 8th seed, they're going home in 4 games to OKC.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You go through that gauntlet just to get to OKC, but injuries will change all this too, right? Like Phoenix without Booker, that could be a thing. A lot of this could shift up. So who knows? We're at like the halfway point of the season. For better or worse, some of these teams could shake up. So maybe Golden State gets, a nice run going from here. I'd have to look at strength of schedule as well. That's something we're going to need to start checking out as well from here.
All right. Well, Daniel said, when we appreciate the super chat, Daniel said, this should have happened 4 weeks ago. It's like a toxic relationship. It's when, not if, you separate. Hopefully this makes the market pick up. Donnie, I think this is going to make the market pick up in a big way because any team that is not in on Giannis right now or that doesn't feel like they're actually in the Giannis race, they are circling to see if they could be a 3rd team, a 4th team, or something like that in a deal. By the way, I would have to assume Portland's phones are ringing. They've got Bucks picks. Any team with Bucks picks, their phones are ringing right now because if you're Milwaukee and you're going to trade Giannis, you'd like to get your own picks back if possible in any kind of a deal. So I do think that this is the kind of thing that even if you're a fan of a team that is not directly pursuing Giannis or not a realistic Giannis landing spot, this could open up things around the periphery of that deal, or it could open things up by having teams that are in the Giannis pursuit but don't wind up getting him. They will then pivot to other moves because right now the market has been paralyzed by teams that are petrified over the idea of Giannis being traded and they already gave up assets and then they couldn't get into the conversation. Once Giannis gets moved, I think the teams that don't get Giannis will go through a flurry of trades and they'll get into a lot of activity. So this could very well be the catalyst that breaks open the entire trade market with just over a week to go.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. And he's right. It's not if, it's when with this, but I think this should have happened a while ago. Like I said earlier, it should have happened in the offseason, in my opinion. But better late than never. But again, also, this could drag to the offseason, right? And that could be a thing. The thing about it is I mentioned earlier how the Bucks should work with him, and they will, right? But at the same time, they need to get back the best deal that they can organizationally. You're not going to trade him and get back the 4th best, 5th best option just so he can get to a certain destination.
You
You
need
need to get
Giannis to say, I'll go to these 3 teams, 4 teams, 5 teams, instead of say,
yeah.
I will only go to this team and I'm telling everyone else that I'm going to leave in 2027.
That's extreme hardball, though. He could absolutely do
He
that.
could.
That's extreme hardball, and it would really hurt the Bucks. I don't see him doing that, though. Hopefully, he does work with them, and because at the end of the day, you want this to be as clean as possible, right? You don't want this to be a messy divorce, anything like that. Just get him ideally to one of his preferred destinations and get back the most you can in the process. Just don't take a terrible offer relative to some of the other ones, because you need to consider your future as an organization as well. I wanted to clarify really quick on Booker. I didn't realize his timetable was only for about a week, so he was reevaluated in about a week. That should be in like another 4 or 5 days from here, so maybe he's out longer, maybe he's not. We also missed this one here.
So yeah, we need to get to that. The Paulo thing flew under the radar. Yeah, with all the Giannis, like I said, this is literally one of those days where it feels like every time we stop to record something, to talk about something, like 5 more things happen. Paulo Banchero and Jamal Mosley are reportedly not seeing eye to eye right now, according to Tim McMahon. The Orlando Magic, they've been going through it. I still think they're a good team, but 23-22 now. They've lost their last 4 in a row, and they're 4-6 in their last 10. Let's say, and the challenge with Orlando is they went all in on this team. You gave up what you gave up to get Des Bane. The Pelicans saw that apparently and went, "Oh, that's what we should get for Herb Jones," right? So that's a problem. But they gave up 4 firsts to get Des Bane. With some of it in order, plus a pick swap. With some of it, the price for moving KCP probably, but still, that's a lot for Des Bane. But beyond that, you're also extremely expensive. I mean, look at this roster next season. I mean, you are $5.6 million above the first apron next season, just below the second apron, because all these contracts: Franz Wagner, Des Bane, Jalen Suggs, Paulo Banchero. I mean, just those 4. Then you added Jonathan Isaac. He's only $8 million guaranteed, but still Wendell Carter at $18 million. They become one of the most expensive teams in the NBA. And right now they are the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. Yeah, they're the 8th seed right now. That when you're that expensive and you're getting these results, changes are coming. Changes are coming. So I don't know that they move on from Paulo right now, even if he's not seeing eye to eye with his coach. But it's certainly more possible now than what we would have thought prior to this, that he could have been traded. Now,
can't be traded.
Oh, he can't even be traded this year. So it could be a summertime thing. I forgot because of his new deal. He can't even be traded this year.
Do they make a coaching change though?
I don't like this. Does Paulo have that kind of sway right now?
I mean, he's a number 1 overall pick.
Sure,
I'm sure that they would try as long as they can, right?
So this, I would think they keep rolling forward with it as is.
Yeah. I think the likelihood is more Paulo than Mosley. I think it's always the coach that's the easiest change to make, right?
Sure.
And I do think that this team has underperformed the last couple of seasons. They profile as a team that should be better than they are record-wise, and they had the same thing last year. They're very streaky. They'll go on a streak here, streak the other way, things like that.
By the way, the Magic this season, according to Cleaning the Glass, are minus 4.4 per 100 with Paulo Banchero on the floor.
Yeah, that was the case, I believe, last year too. I remember that there were times where when he would come back from the injury, they would go on a losing streak or things like that. So it's been, Paulo's very good. I just think that his shot profile is not the right shot profile for a guy like him. He needs to, I think, optimize the shots he's taking, and that would be better for the team. But he's very clearly a multifaceted basketball player and one that you can build around. It's just there are times where I feel like Franz is the true 1A on this team.
Yeah, I agree. I think he is. I mean, look at the points per shot attempt.
Look at the usage, though. 99 and then
exactly.
17.
You can't have that usage and that efficiency. Points per shot attempt in the 51st percentile relative to his position. Now, before that, they classified him as a big a couple of seasons. So, compared to a guy who's shooting from 5 feet from the basket, you can understand why that would. But still, 51st percentile, getting paid what he is with this usage, though that can't happen. That number right there can't happen.
I mean, are you able to filter through forwards? Because I would be curious about what other forwards have a 95th plus percentile. I'd imagine most of them have better points per shot attempt as well, right? Because he's classified as a forward here.
He's up there with Denny Avdia, LeBron James in usage.
Oh, they're
Jalen
playing
Johnson.
him like he's a superstar.
Uh-huh. Jalen Johnson, who is the guy now in Atlanta. Yeah.
I'd have to look at, is that Jonathan Kuminga? I see?
Jonathan Kuminga. He's played like what, 11 games or something, but
yeah.
Wow.
But
that was the early season we're showcasing him phase coming through.
Pull up Denny really quick. I want to see Denny's efficiency with that usage. 100th percentile. What does Denny's look like?
Let's see.
Look at that. That's what 88. You want. That's what you want, right?
And that's why Denny Avdia may very well wind up making the All-Star team this year.
Yeah, for sure. That's it. That's what you're looking for. He doesn't have to be 88th, but 20 to 50, that's just too low.
Paulo is Carmelo that can't shoot. Not wrong.
He does take a lot of mellow type shots. That's why I said he needs to optimize his shot diet.
He is, but he's like, he fits in if he can score efficiently because this Magic team has so many good defensive players. By the way, I love Jalen Suggs. He is so fun. Yeah. He's so fun. He had an insane block the other day when the Magic were playing the Cavs, and the Magic looked great to start that game and then fell to pieces. Yeah. But Jalen Suggs, you've got Anthony Black, who's been doing some big things for them. Like, you've got legit defensive pieces. Wendell Carter, his versatility has been impressive this year. He's had kind of a bounce back season. You've got really good defensive pieces on this team. Des Bane, I think, doesn't hurt you defensively either. You need Paulo to be that play finisher guy, to be the guy that's going to say, I'm going to drive this offense. And instead, he's driving them off a cliff right now because he's just not scoring efficiently enough. Like, there is a role for Paulo Banchero on this team. He just has to score at a higher efficiency than what he is right now. And that's why you're seeing them be better with him off the floor than on.
And can you pull up Franz as well? I'm just curious about that. But yeah, I think some of that probably has to do with that he plays in a phone booth because this team just can't shoot. They never can shoot. And so that probably doesn't help. I mean, Bane is having one of his worst seasons for sure. And that was not what they anticipated, right?
Well, they went and got Bane because the Magic were dead last in the NBA in 3-point percentage last season. And they have improved, Donnie. They're second to last this year. Second to last. 29th.
And
there's Franz. Even Franz, though, 67th percentile.
You could live with that. Like, you could live with that. With that usage, you could live with that. But you can't be like Paulo was 20s and 50s. Like, that's just too low. I mean, Franz wasn't great last year, but he's trending. He's had multiple seasons in the 60s. You want that to improve, right?
Last year, the whole Magic team was nobody could shoot, and nobody could create a shot last year either. And that's part of what Bane was supposed to help bring to this team this year.
Yeah, and everyone was hurt. So, ultimately, I still think, to be honest with you, I don't know if you could trade. You probably could because he's a first-round pick. He's still young, but that contract they just extended him. It's kind of hard to trade. It's kind of hard to trade that deal.
Yeah. I mean, you literally can't do it right now, but even this summer.
In the summer, yeah.
51 million in a few years. I mean, at least it's a fun max in that it's a 25% max.
Yeah.
But still, by the way, anybody asking what's the Austin Reeves max salary? This is it right here. The 41.5 million. That is the most he could get on a contract next year. I know a lot of Lakers fans have been asking that question.
A lot of Laker fans also still asking about Knecht.
We did talk about it
already, and we have a video on Knecht last night.
Yes, but and people are mad at him for requesting a trade. If he requested a trade, I think it's pretty clear he needs a change of scenery. It doesn't mean he's going to be traded or he's going to be able to be traded or that he's got positive value or anything like that. But I think everybody can see that he needs to be somewhere else. It's not working. He needs to go somewhere else. like he's a superstar. It's not like he's saying, please trade me and I will only go to team X, Y, or Z and or something. You know, this is just, hey, like, this isn't working out. Let's try to find a solution to this.
It's the same thing Thomas did a couple of years ago, right? He just was like, you know what? At the deadline, he's like, you know what? Please trade me. It's the same thing.
I don't care where Giannis goes, just stay out of the West, bro. Right? way too much talent in it already.
Yeah. We need guys to stay East.
What do you think about this? The reporting that the Cavs would welcome LeBron back to Cleveland this summer. Not that it's important, couldn't give LA a break on that player option, but will sign a minimum in Cleveland. Well,
I don't think he's signing a minimum in Cleveland.
Yeah, the Cavs would probably need to move some salary to make something like that.
My immediate reaction is I don't see him signing a minimum in Cleveland.
So where are they at next year? The Cavs are 30 million over the first apron. God, there's 17 million over the second apron next season.
That's just too much gymnastics, man.
The most they can offer is a minimum next year right now, but there's reports they may move on from DeAndre Hunter. I could see the Cavs, like if they fall short this year and they fall to pieces again in the playoffs, I could see the Cavs like doing a significant, hey, Darius Garland is gone or Jared Allen is gone, like really revamping things this summer. And maybe that's where suddenly they open up the ability to make some moves.
Wouldn't you want those guys around a LeBron?
Sure you would, but do you want a team that's that expensive again? Like they're already not happy with where things are at right now.
If you're bringing LeBron in for one more year, you're going to generate an insane amount of revenue. So I think if you're Dan Gilbert, you just bite the bullet for one more year. Personally,
maybe you do. If you can sign him for a minimum,
if you actually can get him for a minimum, why would you? Like, obviously, you'd have to make some adjustments to this roster, but I wouldn't get rid of most of your guys at the cost of getting worse as a team in aggregate, right? Like, I wouldn't trade Garland, which I don't know if you can anyway. Dude, those $40 million deals, I'm terrified of those. Well, I don't know if you could trade those.
Well, I think that's a great point. I just think if you're the Cavs, this could be you dump salary to get below the second apron and then get to a point where you can at least use a taxpayer Emily or something like that.
Yeah, I could see him doing that. And on the Laker part, couldn't give LA a break on that player option. He probably, because that was the one that was tied into the no trade clause, probably made sure that he picked it up for the no trade clause. Like, I feel like that is the most important factor there. I don't, if it didn't have a no trade clause, I think he still probably picks it up just because the money. But I think that's the most important factor.
I think the ship has sailed on LeBron getting max deals.
Yeah, and
regardless of where it's at, it's not going to be a max.
Yeah. Last year he was willing to take that pay cut, but it was hyper specific who he was willing to do it for, and so it wasn't like he was really, really like you weren't going to get Clay, for example, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know that he's at a point where he's doing that anymore. But if he's signing a 1-year deal somewhere, especially Cleveland with the gymnastics they have to go through, realistically, it's a minimum, most likely, or something like an MLE, which I can see him signing an MLE basically anywhere. I could see him doing that in LA.
I mean, the Lakers could have 50 plus million in cap space, 55 million, 57 million, something like that in cap space, depending on what happens with their other contracts. Mm-hmm. The Lakers could go spend that cap space, say, hey, LeBron, we got these guys now. We have 20 million left over. Do you want it? Yeah. That could very well be, or 10, or whatever it is, whatever the number is. Say, hey, do you want this? And then they go from there. Or it could be the Lakers say, you know what? It's time to fully pivot. And as great as LeBron has been and as important as he's been for this franchise, we thank him very much. But we have to now move in a different direction, and we're fully building this team around Luka, and that's the way they go. LeBron could also say, screw it, I'm done. I want to be home on Christmas Day. I'm going to retire, and that's it. And that could also be. All possibilities are open right now with LeBron and the Lakers.
Dude, if option 2 happens where it's like they just amicably part, I wonder who
throws shade first.
Yeah, I wonder what that looks like. It doesn't look like last offseason with the extension. Oh, the Lakers decided. LeBron actually said
I didn't even want an extension.
I don't know who's like that. That actually, part of me wants to see how that unfolds. But ultimately, though, whenever they do separate, I don't want to see a whole bunch of messiness, this and that. Those reports that often come out after the fact. I don't want to see the drama.
His jersey's going in the rafters.
Yeah.
I think if it is going to be a parting of ways, make it clean.
Yeah, I don't want to see all the drama, but if that does happen, I'm really curious about actually LeBron was always dead set on going to Golden State for his final year of his career.
Right.
So
NBA Central saying Grant Apsa said the Knicks could trade Mikal Bridges to Portland for Drew Holiday, then Cat to Milwaukee for Giannis.
Didn't we talk about that?
Yeah, the idea of using Drew Holiday as a lure to help bring Cat to New York. Would you do that? Would you move? If I'm the Blazers, I would jump all over that. Yeah, if I could get Mikal Bridges for Drew Holiday, I am doing that so fast if I'm Portland.
Yeah, I would do it. But you also, if you're Portland, you're giving up those Milwaukee picks probably.
That's just it, right? It's probably the at least one of them plus Drew Holiday for Mikal Bridges, because Mikal Bridges is cheaper than Holiday and younger. And at this stage, Frank, and I love Drew Holiday. He is great. But frankly, he's better than Drew Holiday.
You don't gotta dress it up. I think everyone would agree with you.
Do you think I dressed it up too much?
Yeah, he said, I love him. This and that. You don't got to do all that.
No, I'm saying he's a great fit in a lot of different places. So I don't want people to think like Drew Holiday is just this, trash player or whatever, even at 35 years old. But I have concerns about the contract. But if this is your path, if you're the Knicks, do you do that? Do you turn Mikal Bridges and Cat
into Giannis?
Plus there's probably draft capital into Giannis and Drew? Would you do that?
Sign me up.
I would do that in a second.
I would do it in a heartbeat.
I would do that in a second if I'm the Knicks. I do that so fast.
Drew would fit really well on that team as well. As
Drew would fit really well on the Lakers.
Drew would fit really well on any team. So that you're right. Like obviously he's not as good as Bridges today or as healthy, right? But I would do that in a heartbeat.
All right, let's go here with the super chat. We appreciate the super chats, folks. Thanks for sending that in.
Thank you.
So how is Austin Reeves not the best player the Bucks can get? Because he's not under contract past this year. Yeah. That's the problem.
And how do the Bucks get him with enough matching salary? I always bring the salary piece up because you have to put so much with Austin to turn him into Luka. Or not Luka, excuse me, into Giannis.
In Giannis.
I saw
careful there. But
if we could turn Austin into Luka, that'd be insane. We have 2 Lukas on the team.
Can you clone Luka? So anyway, if you were to take Austin, you'd have to stack up Austin and Rui and Gabe and Kleba, and even then, it's tough to get. And then you're talking about a 4-for-1 trade. It's just logistically, it's so hard to make that work. People will say trade LeBron for Giannis. Well, again, the Bucks would never do that, and the Bucks wouldn't even do
no trade clause.
But yeah, I mean that's just. But like the Bucks aren't going to do that anyway. But yes, he has a no trade clause. People will say trade Luka for Giannis. I don't think the Bucks or the Lakers do that. I think both teams would rather just keep the guy they've got. Well, I guess if the Bucks were in a position where they're definitely moving Giannis, yes, the Bucks would probably do that. As far as throw in Bronny to sweeten the deal. Oh my gosh.
Superstar right there. His Bron for all is at what, 5%? You don't understand that reference, but
no, I don't.
That's a future superstar right there.
So when I look at the other factor here, would Austin even want to go to Milwaukee? Because I think the answer is no. I think the answer is no.
Probably not. So that's another reason, right?
Yeah.
But I always like to, because to me, I think the bigger reason is just the salary. He makes nothing. You can't get an equal value for that. But he doesn't want to stay in Milwaukee most likely either. So
if Austin were under contract for the next 4 years at $25 million per year, okay, maybe there's a conversation to be had there. He's not. He's a free agent this summer. The Bucks would trade for him, and he would just go, "Oh, I don't want to be in Milwaukee. See you guys later."
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, maybe he'll stay if they throw him the 41.5, right?
Who cares what Austin wants? The Bucks do. If the Bucks were to trade for him, they would care very much what Austin wants, because they wouldn't want him to leave for nothing, and he very well could if they traded for him.
He's a free agent. Like you understand that, right? Like
exactly.
Like I said, maybe he stays if they throw the 41.5 at him. I don't know.
Super easy to get rid of Dalton Knecht now that he requested a trade. Not if you have to add stuff to him. If you're the Lakers now, we're at a point now with Dalton Knecht. It's so bad that you're just hoping that you can move him without having to pay someone to take him. That's where we're at.
Nothing changed. It didn't get any easier to trade him. If anything, it got harder because teams are like, "Oh, this guy wants to be out."
Life on the line. Who gets traded first, Kuminga or Knecht? I think both guys are not on their teams past the trade deadline.
Yeah. But first, though, I'm going to say JK goes first.
I think Kuminga. I think if you're the Lakers, I think right now, if I'm another team and I'm interested in Knecht, I'm waiting until the deadline to see if I can get something from the Lakers to take him. And if I'm the Lakers, I'm waiting until the deadline to see if I could do it without having to pay somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that thumbs up as well. We got over 1,700 people in here and only 146 likes. Let's get that over 250. Also, subscribe if you're new. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah, hit that subscribe button. You guys know we have been all over this trade deadline. I know it's not been the most exciting trade deadline up to this point, but guess what? Things are heating up in a big, big way with just over a week to go. So hit that subscribe button. All right, let's go here. Do I think Knecht demanding a trade rumor is true? Thanks for all you do for Lakers Nation, Trevor. Well, thank you, Matthew. Appreciate that. It has the ring of truth to it to me. Is it 100% factual? He's asked for a trade. I don't know. I'll have to ask around and see what that situation looks like. But is it plausible? Like, it makes sense why Knecht would want to go somewhere. It also makes sense why the Lakers would want him to be somewhere else. But if I'm Dalton Knecht, I've said it before, I think Dalton Knecht was the party most wronged in the Mark Williams trade getting rescinded, because he would have been a much better fit in Charlotte than he is in LA. And it makes all the sense in the world for him to be looking to go somewhere else. He needs a fresh start, because whatever has happened to him over the last year plus, it apparently is not getting fixed. It's not getting better right now. So yes, time for him to move.
Yeah, he's been screwed by that. And he's not, frankly, we talked about it a lot last night once again. So go watch our video on that. But one of the things that I said in that video was, frankly, he's not performed to a level where they feel comfortable playing him. But at the same time, this isn't the right team for him, because he's not going to be able to go out there, play a certain amount of minutes, make mistakes, grow from that, like typical young player stuff. He's not going to get that. So this is not the right destination otherwise. But I will say, I don't think that they've given him a ton of opportunity either. I think it's a little bit of fault on both parties here. But certainly, if you're JJ, you're probably hoping Dalton shows you a reason why first, right?
JJ loved Dalton.
You know?
Like if he showed anything, he'd be getting minutes.
Exactly. And I think JJ really wants a player like Dalton, but Dalton hasn't shown it. So again, at that point, I'd have to skew it a little bit more towards Dalton. But I think it goes both ways. And it just would be best if he was elsewhere, so he could learn and grow and develop a certain way. I mean, the thing is that he's 24 already. I'm talking about him like he's 18.
I think he's 25.
Is he 25? I'm talking about him like he's 18, 19, 20. He's not. He's 24.
Oh,
25.
no, he is 24. You're right.
So you would expect for that guy to be further along in that development process, because he's like just a few years out of his prime at this point. But with how things have gone for him, I said this last night, just teetering as being one of those guys that is out of the league, because he's what that standard trajectory is. You can't get minutes on your team. One or two teams give you a tryout, and if it doesn't work out, you're playing overseas.
He's 25 in a couple of months.
So
at the beginning of April, he's gonna be 25.
Basically,
yeah. So I think JJ Redick's hair got significantly grayer from the Dalton Knecht experience.
Like, that's a legit thing. JJ does not look the same at all. He's got bags under his eyes.
It's like when you see pictures of like that, whoever is president at the time, right? They photograph the president going into office and coming out, and like how much more fatigued they look and everything like that. That's JJ Redick with, and it's not all on Dalton, obviously. But
no, go look at JJ from his intro presser though. This is like a year and a half ago, dude. He looks so different. He's legitimately aged. It's because he's so emotional, man. He lives and dies with every single possession out there.
Because he's in the basement every night, diagramming. Here it is. Look at that.
It doesn't look like that.
He doesn't look like that anymore.
His hair is twice as gray now, man. Maybe he was dyeing it.
Oh, I don't know. Whatever.
He's got some grays in there. Probably not.
I think the stress is getting to him. All right. Let's go here. Will Boston make a move at the deadline? I kind of think they will, and I think they're going to be a buyer on the market rather than a seller. We talked about them. There have been talks about Anthony Simons being on the move for like literally since the moment they acquired him last summer. But I think if they are going to, Simons is fit. If they are going to move Simons, though, it's going to be to buy. They're rumored to be out there looking for a long-term fit at the center position. There's a few guys who could be available, Yves Missi being one. But what happens if the Bucks make this move? I mean, this is kind of the domino effect. Do they then need to listen on Miles Turner? Do they then need to listen on Bobby Portis? Like, I could see the Celtics buying there. Jason Tatum's coming back. It's going to happen. And if I'm the Celtics, I'm looking at this thing and saying, why not us? Why can't we make a run this year? Even though we've kept ourselves in the mix, firmly in the mix. They've been flying up the standings. I think they make a move to buy on the market rather than sell. I don't know that it's going to be some huge move, but I think something does happen with Boston.
Yeah, that's not what we expected going into the year. We expected them to look a lot like the Pacers, but credit to them, they've been able to win games after starting slowly, and they just keep on. So they've been really good with Jaylen Brown leading the way, and several of their guys have been able to perform well.
Like who in the East are the Celtics saying, well, we just can't beat that team? Nobody.
Nobody. I mean, maybe they look at Detroit that way, but I doubt it.
No, I don't. And by the way, Detroit needs to add some shooting at the deadline. Yeah. Maybe another ball handler.
Yeah, but Detroit's been the second best team in the NBA this season.
Right. So, we're talking minor moves for Detroit.
But I don't know that, but that's where it's interesting because like they had Tatum back. It's like, oh, wait a minute. And they got rid of Drew. They got rid of Kristaps, who albeit wasn't always out there, but they did this, dumping and still are here, right? Like at the top of the standings. I wouldn't have projected that.
All right, let's go here. Jerry says, we forget Reeves is a small town guy. I think he fits perfect in Milwaukee. Reeves is a small town guy from the South. Very different than Milwaukee when we're talking about the cold weather there.
Yeah, the weather.
I'm fairly certain that he would not want to be in Milwaukee.
I will do my best not to read between the lines with that.
Yeah, don't read between the lines or anything. Just, I don't think that would be the ideal place that you want to go. Is Dalton Knecht basically thrown in player in trades?
Yeah.
Yes. Like if you could just add him into a trade as salary matching, great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then that's fantastic. I think they would look to move him regardless. Just if anything else, I mean, just as a favor to Knecht at this point, just to give him another shot somewhere else. Because again, it's not happening in LA. Also had somebody mention, are the Lakers or is where did it go? Oh, would Boston move on from Tatum because they've had success so far? No, they want Tatum to pour gasoline on the fire.
Yeah, absolutely not. You don't trade away your superstar. You don't do that. If you got two of them, great. You don't do that.
All right, let's go here. Once this trade happens, the trade market should open up and pieces should start being moved. What players do you think will most likely to move next? Where do the Lakers stand in this? I don't think they get Giannis. I think they are going to try on. We heard a number of players that they are trying on right now. Najee Marshall being one. I can't imagine the Mavs trading again with the Lakers, but Najee Marshall, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy. Don't think those guys are actually available given the asking prices. Keon Ellis is another guy that seemingly everybody is interested in. There was something from Jake Fisher today that they are one of the teams that will probably try to make a run at Peyton Watson this summer because even though he's an RFA, the Nuggets would be a second apron team if they were to bring him back. I personally think the Nuggets will make other moves in order to open up the flexibility, not right now, but in the summer, in order to afford Peyton Watson. But nonetheless, that's another guy they're reportedly interested in. As far as who's likely to be moved, I think Keon Ellis is almost certainly, like, he is the most likely player to find himself somewhere else after the trade deadline. That's pretty clear. After that, most of the Kings roster that's not Keegan Murray and that is not Nick Clifford, very, very, very available. Please come get them. Take these guys off our roster. That type of situation. Those are guys that are going to move. Houston is looking for a big. I think Boston is looking for a big right now. We could add that. The Lakers are very clearly targeting wing players at the moment. Could they also pivot and look for a big now that DeAndre Ayton is evaporating? There's that situation there. The Clippers could look to buy now that they're playing a lot better. The Heat, we know, are big in on Giannis. Like, there's all kinds of stuff that's picking up around the market. The Raptors are going to be a buyer as well. Who's going to sell? We'll see. We'll see what that's going to ultimately look like. Michael Porter Jr., the rumored asking price is 2 first-round picks. Will someone be willing to give that? But I do think if I had to pick like the biggest name that I think will move, I keep landing on MPJ. Donnie, to me, it just makes so much sense if the Nets can get the offer that they want to cash out right now on him and add pieces moving forward.
Yeah, I think he would be a really interesting name as well. And as a guy that I think you could plug into any team. Any team could be that's interested in winning this season or even next season could look to acquire him at this deadline. I will also throw Ja's name out there. You know, I think Ja has a pretty decent chance of getting moved. He's the one that came to me, but obviously
the Heat reportedly are not interested in pursuing now that Giannis is like really available.
Yeah, I think
on Ja, which makes sense.
You need Giannis to move first.
Yes,
I think some of the smaller guys, you know, like Keon, they're going to move regardless. But those star level guys or big salaries, they're going to be like, yeah, actually, let's wait for Giannis and see what happens, right? Unless the fit is just right, like, you know, Trae Young situation.
Where does MPJ end up? B-Fred asks. You know where I think actually makes now getting there might be a little bit tough. He's probably a bit too big of a swing, but wouldn't he be perfect for Detroit?
He'd be perfect for Detroit. Absolutely. He'd be perfect for Cleveland. He'd be perfect for Orlando. He'd be perfect for a lot of teams that should be interested in him. But yes, Detroit, absolutely. If they could add him to what they already have and not have to give up their core players, of course, they would get really scary.
By the way, what do you think about the buzz out there right now that the Lakers are willing to move Rui Hachimura and that his trade value has gone up with how he's played recently?
I mean, he's an expiring deal.
Like if you are a team, let's say like Detroit, that would be interested in MPJ, wouldn't Rui be on your list of fallbacks in terms of just being a bigger wing player that can provide that high percentage shoot? Obviously, MPJ, we're talking different tiers of players here, but wouldn't that be an interesting fallback for a lot of teams at half the price?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. He's a 42% shooter. He's big dude, 6'8" out there, a huge wingspan. He doesn't do a lot of other things, but he's a great shooter from all levels of the floor. I think he'd be an interesting target. And again, he's an expiring. That's the tricky thing. Do you want to be the team to pay him? If you can reach a reasonable number, I think you pull the trigger on that. But that's going to be one of those things you need to talk to Rui before the trade, see where his market's at, see where his head's at with his market, I should say.
Now, this is what is this? There's a post out there that said Giannis is being traded to the Dodgers because the Dodgers get everybody.
They get everybody, man. They can do it. They can do it. Just let it happen. It's okay, and they'll loan him out to the Lakers for the.
There it is. He'll be on a deferred salary. So here's what I think you bring up a great point. And it's such a huge factor in the trade market, and it's an unknown for so many of these players, these guys that are extension eligible. What does Rui want on his next deal? That's going to matter a ton for his value. It's going to matter a ton on whether or not the Lakers would trade him, whether or not another team would want him. That will certainly matter. Plus, there's the fact that he's been playing so well lately, and he's shown such a willingness to come off the bench. The Lakers may not have motivation to move him now. So he's an interesting one, though, that he could really go either way. And I said this a little bit ago in a video that dropped on Lakers Nation. How the Lakers handle Rui at the trade deadline and going into the summer is going to be a huge, maybe the biggest non-LeBron, assuming Austin Reeves comes back, like the biggest decision they're going to have to make. How they handle Rui Hachimura is going to be massive for how the future plays out here for this team.
Yeah, I think you're right on the money with that. But this team has so many unknowns, and that's part of what JJ was talking about. I think a lot of that was Ayton focused, where he was saying there's guys that are kind of playing for their next salary or whatever. But a lot of these guys just there's no this the books are really clean here. Like, if we give Rob credit for anything, I think we have to give him credit for the structuring of these books, aside from a couple of player options I see. But for the most part, he's done a pretty good job. On that note, I've got to say that I've got to head out as well.
Okay, Donnie, thanks for jumping in. I will stick around, everybody.
Yes, thanks guys. I appreciate it. Remember, hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you guys later.
All right, D-Rock in Brooklyn said Claxton for Rui and a first, play Ayton with Claxton. That might be a little bit much for the way Rui's been playing lately. I don't know if they get better that way. I'd probably, if I'm going to go for Claxton, I'd probably want Ayton to be going out in the deal, because I don't mind having 3 bigs on a roster, but I think you would have personality issues if you brought in somebody like Claxton to replace Ayton in the starting lineup. So I think I would move on from him. Now, I'm not saying he's worth a bunch or anything like that, but I'd be trying to rectify that situation if I could. I do like Claxton, though. I think he is a good fit, especially when we've seen what the team has done defensively lately and the way they've utilized speed and quickness. I do think you need a physical presence as well, and that's going to be important for them. But so far, and we're kind of heading back the way we were, I've talked about this a bit, the Lakers are showing they're at their best when they're playing smaller. That could get tripped up in the postseason again, though. So I think they need the option to play bigger. But if you bring in a starting level center right now and you take this, you've already taken the closing job away from him. Clearly, closing with Jackson Hayes or closing small is preferred over closing with Ayton right now. That's been taken away from him. I think if you take the starting job away too, you're gonna lose him completely. He may completely check out. So if I'm bringing in a Nick Claxton or somebody like that, I'm getting Ayton out the door if I'm the Lakers. Let me see what else we've got here. Three-team Lakers get Giannis, Bucks, Reeves, Cavs, LeBron. I mean, the math on that's not going to work out. The Cavs would have to the Cavs can't even aggregate salaries in a trade, so they can't stack up any players to go get somebody. They can only trade a player up by themselves. And then the Reeves for Giannis, the math is a mess on that type of a trade. Now that the Bucks are rebuilding, well, assuming that they do go down the rebuild path, okay. If OKC wanted Bobby Portis for a package of Kenrich Williams and Ousmane Dieng, how many picks would Milwaukee want in return to make this trade equitable? That's interesting. That's an interesting idea for OKC to add a little bit of toughness and go at a piece like that. I can't imagine it would be a lot. I mean, the Thunder, like, do you do what the Bulls did and execute a trade with the Thunder and get 0 picks? And if you're the Thunder, I mean, you probably want some of the value to be from your draft capital, because frankly, they have more picks than they can actually use, than they have roster spots for. So now maybe they alleviate that in some ways by doing a 2-for-1 deal, but that's not a bad idea of packaging together a couple of players. If you're the Bucks, if you could get a first out of it, then there you go. I don't think Bobby Portis has like crazy value, but he may have crazy eyes, but not crazy value around the NBA. I think a lot of teams would like to have him, though, and he'd be a nice fit in a lot of places. You look at the contract, $13 million, $14 million, easy to trade for. The player option, all right, that's a little bit tough, but still, the salary is so small. I think you're fine with something like that. So, yeah, I'm good with, if I'm the Bucks, if I can get a first for Bobby Portis, but I'm only doing that if I've already got my Giannis trade done, lined up, and I'm just trying to accumulate first-round draft capital at that point. TWS said, they're only ruining baseball. No big deal. You mean they're saving baseball if you saw the ratings for the World Series. Do I think Doc Rivers will leave Milwaukee? I do think so. I think that, I don't know off the top of my head what Doc's contract looks like, but Doc had a nice gig doing the commentary. Studio Stu checking in here, doing the commentary, not having to travel nearly as much, the stress, all of that. Got a nice offer from the Bucks to come back into the coaching ranks, I could very well see Doc just saying, I'm going to go back to doing TV gigs. I could very well see him doing something like that. Studio Stu getting in his camera time right now. Kevin, I'm getting to your super chat in just a moment. I'm bouncing around a little bit on some of those super chats. In fact, here, I'll do it right now. Kevin said, Houston needs to trade Amen Thompson plus picks plus salary for Giannis. Amen is the most overvalued player now. He's a Philly Ben Simmons, but way less skilled. He's not been as good this season. He's had a bit of a step back, which is unfortunate. Still an incredibly talented player. I don't think Houston is just going to move on from him for nothing. So what would that look like, though, if Houston were to get in the mix? They are below the first apron. So then you're talking about stacking up. Is the contract of Fred VanVleet with the player option for next year, is that something the Bucks are interested in? Because that would be pretty critical, because Amen Thompson's only making $10 million, just under that. Amen Thompson, I think, would be an attractive player for the Bucks to go after, but getting there salary-wise is tough without touching Kevin Durant, Alperen Sengun, or Fred VanVleet. And with that player option for next year at $25 million that he's almost sure to pick up, that gets a little bit challenging there if you're Milwaukee. Now, if Houston can figure it out to get the Bucks some of their own picks back or something like that, maybe they can make up for that. But that $25 million would be critical. $25 million plus Amen Thompson, that's still only at $35 million. Right now, the Rockets can take back more salary in a trade than they send out, but they're hard capped at the first apron and only $1.2 million below it. So there's not a ton of flexibility there. So I like Houston as a landing spot, but we're talking about a multi-team deal. You're talking about stacking up a lot of contracts to get there, because they're really lacking like a very tradable, I don't know, $20-ish million contract that you could add to Amen Thompson, or even a very tradable, like expiring $35 million contract, because they don't want to leave Alperen Sengun. They don't want to move on from Kevin Durant. That's going to make it tough math-wise to get there for Houston. But again, I think there are paths they could get there. It just might take some doing to make it happen. If I'm Houston and I can do that, and I can add KD, Giannis, Sengun, plus if you can hang on to some of your pieces, Jabari Smith, guys like that, it gets interesting. The only thing I'll say, though, is Houston's superpower this year has been offensive rebounding. They're literally like the best offensive rebounding team we've seen in 30 years. Giannis isn't going to hurt that, but he's going to take minutes at nominally the 4, away from Steven Adams, away from Clint Capella, guys whose job it is just to go and crush the offensive glass. And of course, Sengun. You could still make it work, and he's not going to take that away from you too much. But I do wonder, if you add Giannis, if you go from being an all-time offensive rebounding team to just a very, very good offensive rebounding team. You're still probably a net positive in that, but just something to consider. I mean, the rumors are out there that the Rockets are looking for another big just because Steven Adams is injured for a little bit. That's how determined they are to just crush the offensive glass. Does Giannis get traded before the deadline? I think he does now. I think he does. I think he gets traded. I think there's too much on the line right now for the Bucks. There's too many teams that are interested, and it makes too much sense for the Bucks to say, you know what? If we wait until the summer, Giannis gets that much more control over his destination. Let's get this done now. Let's pivot. Let's really bottom out this season. Remember, the Bucks do have their pick this year. They do. Now, if the pick winds up number 1, or if it winds up better than the Pelicans pick, the Hawks are going to take the Bucks pick. But the Bucks will get either their own pick or the Pelicans pick, whichever one is worse. So the best case scenario for the Bucks would be you get the number 2 pick in this year's draft, and the Hawks get number 1, I suppose. But either way, you can get the Pelicans are not going to win a bunch of games from here. So you're going to get a pretty high draft pick, particularly if you keep losing. And you look, Charlotte has leapfrogged them in the East. Now, are you catching Brooklyn? Almost certainly not. Brooklyn you've already won too many games to fully get into the tank race. But I mean, you look right now, the Bucks, they would have, if the draft stayed chalk, they would have the number 7 pick. Like that's not bad. And if you can bottom this thing out, ensure that you won't pass Charlotte, maybe pass Utah. Utah is going to be pretty damn determined to not improve in the standings because their pick's only top 8 protected. But I could see the Bucks say, hey, let's at least guarantee that we have the 7th best lottery odds here. Let's bottom this thing out. Let's move on from Giannis. Let's see if we can move. Maybe we do it in the summer, but otherwise, let's see if we can move Miles Turner right now. Let's see what market there is for Bobby Portis. Can we get anyone to take Kyle Kuzma? And let's really pivot this franchise right now and then make some follow-up moves in the summer. With Giannis out, can LA target Miles Turner? They can target him. Is he the guy for them? Is he the lob threat that they need? I mean, he was the guy when you're talking about pairing him with Anthony Davis, but he's not had a great season. He's under contract for $25 million this year, $26 million, $27 million, $29 million, and he's not been a perfect fit in Milwaukee this season. So I don't know that he's 100% the guy that you go get if you're the Lakers. But could they target him? Yes, but it would probably be at the expense of Rui in order to get there math-wise. And is that really what you want to do if you're the Lakers? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Rui's playing really, really well. It's not the easy yes that it was when it was, hey, let's pair Miles Turner with Anthony Davis. Lakers need Robert Sacre, Xavier Henry, and Ryan Kelly. Oh, those were fun times, weren't they? Xavier Henry had that one epic dunk that will live on forever. Rollins, Porter, Bobby for Rui, Gabe, Maxey, a first and a swap. I mean, if I'm the Bucks, like value-wise, if you could find the right deal, I guess you move Rollins, but otherwise I'd keep Rollins. I'd want him to be part of my future. Porter Jr., Bobby Portis, sure, those are interesting. For Rui, Gabe, Maxey, do they want? I mean, Gabe and Maxey are at least expiring. In fact, all three are expiring, so you're getting draft capital for your guys. There's some sense to it. I think if I'm the Bucks, I'm flipping Rui to a third team and then getting assets there in order to make that work. Then if you're the Lakers, though, is it worth giving up your first plus a swap? So then you're done. You've made all your moves. You're done, basically. For now, you're done. Is that worth it to get Bobby Portis, Porter, and Rollins? Does that check the boxes that you need? I would argue no, because you still would be light on the wing position. I'm new to this. Some ideas. Dalton DA in a second for Mitch Robinson. That would be a step backwards for the Knicks, and they're not really in sell mode. You know, I would do it if I'm the Lakers, but I would not do it for the Knicks. Rui, Maxey for Andrew Wiggins. Yeah, I mean, there's reportedly the Heat won a first for Wiggins, and that's been I think the challenge for the Lakers in trying to make a deal for Wiggins is I don't think they want to give up the first to turn Rui into Wiggins. That's I think that's too steep of a price for them to pay right now. But I do like Andrew Wiggins and his potential fit for this club. Gabe and a first for Keon Ellis. I wouldn't give up the first for Keon. I like Keon Ellis a lot, but I wouldn't give up a first to get him. He'd be more like, is Sacramento interested in Dalton Knecht in a second? Probably not. But if that's the case, okay, I wouldn't touch a first round pick because Keon Ellis, he's going to be a bench player. He's going to be a rotation guy, a good player, a player I like a lot, but I wouldn't be willing to give up a first in order to get him. That said, I understand why the Kings reportedly want a first in exchange for him. There's, according to Mark Stein, 14 teams are in the market for Keon Ellis right now. Everybody wants him. He's so easy to trade for, $2.3 million. Anybody can get into the mix, and he could fit on anybody's roster. So the Kings are asking for a first. Do they get it? I'm skeptical of that. If I'm the Lakers, though, knowing that I have just one first to trade, I'm certainly not giving it up to get Keon Ellis. All right, let's see what else we've got. Do a couple more. Utah and Washington both only have top 8 protected. Tanking is going to get ridiculous. Absolutely. I mean, are they? Washington has lost. You know, they right now have the second best lottery odds here. I just simmed the lottery. This is the ideal lottery result for Utah and Washington. I simmed the lottery. Utah got number 1. Washington got number 2, and both would keep their picks in this scenario. The Clippers pick would go to OKC. That would be the 11th pick. And the Pels pick would fall all the way to number 5. And Atlanta would wind up getting the 5th pick. Atlanta still, I think, has to be thrilled with that trade that they made. Here's how it sits currently. Remember, if Utah's pick falls past 8, it goes to OKC. And that's obviously not what they want. And Washington's pick, if it falls past 8, also is on the way out. I'm trying to remember. I think it goes to the Knicks. The Washington's pick would. So is Giannis going to Milwaukee or to Miami? I think I would make that the favorite to get him. Where will Ja end up? I'm having a hard time finding a team that makes sense for him. Salary-wise, and especially if the Grizz want a first back, which they should. They should want a first, but I don't think they should be necessarily selling Ja into a weak market where they can't take like a Trae Young type trade for Ja. They just can't. So I think that I kind of think Ja winds up staying in Memphis. I don't think the Grizzlies can take a Trae Young type trade where you're just giving him up for like expirings, essentially getting nothing basically for him. I don't think you can do that. And I don't see a team, number one, that needs Ja right now that can also afford Ja and wants to give up a first. Like, just being able to stack up enough salary to get to Ja at $40 million is a challenge for a lot of teams. For Giannis, teams will do it. For Ja, I don't think teams will. And then are you going to attach a first onto that? What about the Raptors? Yeah, the Raptors do make some sense. If it's like RJ Barrett or Emmanuel Quickley, maybe both of those guys, that makes some sense. But are you going to get the first that you're looking for if you're the Grizz? Probably not. So I'm not saying it's impossible. I look at it as more 60-40. Ja winds up staying in Memphis just because it's hard to find a real landing spot for him. Who's going to give up? And maybe there's a team out there that loves Ja that is not obvious right now. But who's going to give up the salary needed to get him plus a first or so to make Memphis feel like they're actually getting something in return? I don't know. As a Suns fan, I would be open to moving Jalen Green. I would assume so. His hamstring apparently can't stay healthy at all, and it's terrible because he's looked great when he's been on the floor. But I would assume the Suns would be getting a bit concerned about Jalen Green and his inability to actually play in games right now. How many picks is Reeves worth in a Giannis trade? Not a lot. Just because of his free agent status, he can walk away in the summer. And he's not going to sign an extension. It doesn't make sense. Knecht wants out of LA. Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. It's weird because he's been an Iron Man for the past 4 years. Yeah, but he's just, again, can't stay healthy. It's really unfortunate, but it is what it is right now with Jalen Green. And hopefully he does get healthy at some point. But he's played in 4 games on the season. I don't see anybody buying on that contract unless just not right now with his inability to stay on the floor, unless he were an expiring, and he's not. He's far from it. He's got $33.5 million, $36.2 million, and then a player option for another $36 million. I just don't see anybody buying on that contract right now. Now, if he gets back and he's healthy like going into next season, okay, maybe that changes things a little bit, but he's had such a hard time staying healthy so far. Ja peaked 2 seasons ago. Yeah, it's unfortunate. He's incredibly talented, but it's not been it's been his worst season of his career. He did have a good game the other day in London against the Magic, and then he got hurt again. So he's out through the trade deadline. Now, how hurt is he? Are the Grizzlies trying to bubble wrap him? Maybe there's something to that as well. But, I don't think that we see teams, really going after him right now. Yeah, I know. We've talked about the Dalton Knecht stuff a few times already on this show. It makes sense why he would want out. It makes sense why the Lakers would want to move him. The question is, can they find a deal that makes sense? All right, everybody. I think I got all of the super chats. I do appreciate all of the super chat questions coming in. Appreciate all of you for joining. If you have not done so yet, please make sure you do hit the subscribe button. Turn on those notifications as well here on the Basketball Bulletin. Thank you, everybody. I love the trade deadline. Man, things heated up in a big, big way today. The Giannis news. Boy, we got a week to go. It feels like now we're going to get some momentum and we're going to see some stuff taking place around the NBA. So again, hit that subscribe button. You know, we're going to be covering all of it. Till next time, everybody. See ya and stay safe.